Welcome to the Lacrosse Flash, the wish list. That's what we're calling this segment. I'm joined by Teddy Jenner, who's the play-by-play voice of the Colorado Mammoth, who really needs no introduction now, do you, Teddy?
I always appreciate it, Tyson. You still have a hat on, no haircuts available, I'm guessing.
It's really ugly right now. No haircuts are available until next week, and that's what's on my wish list. But we're moving forward, and we're talking about what teams across the National Lacrosse League may need in order to either stay competitive or make a push for an NLL title. And we're going to be starting off with a team that's always fun to talk about. Year in and year out, that's the Saskatchewan Rush. A 7-3 record in the shortened season. Now, they showed a couple signs of maybe slowing down a little bit. Their players getting a couple years older. However, this team still very strong and still led their division heading into this stoppage of play. So, Teddy, if you were to look at this team and say, here's one thing that they're hoping for, what is it going to be?
Right off the bat, I'll give you sort of 1 and 1A. 1A is they would really like a few more bye weeks in that opening part of the season. They were on a stretch to end the season where they were playing 13 games in 12 weeks. That's not a recipe for success at the start of the season because they were really only playing like once every couple of weeks. By the time Colorado were playing like their 10th game, Saskatchewan had only played 6. So I really think the Rush would like to have a little more cohesion, a little more chemistry to start the season, with that meaning more games in the opening few weeks. But I think going forward for this Rush program, they need to find a way to lock down Derek Keenan long term. He's going into his last year in his contract. They are 116-66 since he took over this franchise in Edmonton back in the late 2000s. They missed the playoffs just once since he's come into the program, and since he's taken over, he's led this team to the top of the West almost every single season. He's an unbelievable general manager. We all know what he's done by pulling off some of those trades early on, by getting guys like Mark Matthews and securing guys like Robert Church and bringing back Evan Kirk. They've done an excellent job. But as a coach, he is a player's coach. Everybody loves to play for Derek Keenan, but more importantly, everyone comes out a better player having played for Derek Keenan. So if they can get him long term, I think it sets them up.
Okay, Teddy, as a player who's played in this league and for the Rush organization in the past, just how important is it to play under a coach who you have so much respect for?
I think early on, under the Paul Day regime, we were just a very young franchise, and we were a bunch of ragtag guys who were trying to start a program and get it off the ground. But once Derek Keenan came in and brought a new breath of fresh air, and people understood what his vision was and that it was going to take some time, but he had a plan in place, they understood that. They bought into the system, as it were, and to use the quote, they trusted the process. And Derek Keenan has touched that process and turned it to gold. And when they say a player's coach, he really is, because he's out there joking around, having fun with the guys during practices and at pregame shoot-arounds. But when it comes down to business, there's nobody more focused or more prepared than Derek, which translates to everybody else on his roster.
Okay, so let's take a look forward, and we're just having fun with this because obviously it doesn't matter now.
I like fun.
But say we were to finish the season, the Saskatchewan Rush sitting at 7-3, like I said, at the top of their division. If the season were to play out, would they win that division and possibly compete for that NLL Cup once again?
I think they would go on to win the regular season West. They were in a pretty good spot to hold on to that number 1 seed. But the way San Diego was starting to play with Austin Stotts back, Calgary was starting to put some wins together, Colorado was starting to find some mojo. It wasn't going to be easy for Saskatchewan. And maybe the chink in the armor is the fact that Colorado did beat them last year at home in that first round series. So there could be a little bit of lack of confidence, or maybe a little less confidence in that group when playing at home, when it was always such an almost seemingly impossible task to go into Saskatchewan and win in the postseason. So I don't know. You can't go ahead and say, yes, absolutely, they're going to win, especially in a 1-game series, but they were in the best spot to do it. And I think during that stretch at the end of the season where they were going to play 13 games in 12 weeks, barring any injury, they probably would have been the hottest team going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I would think that the stoppage in play hurt them one of the most as an organization, just because it almost burns one of their golden years. So it's a little bit tougher to look at that and move forward. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would say that, knowing that, a lot of those guys are starting to near free agency. We talked about Derek Keenan, 2021's his last season under contract. So, yeah, maybe this could be the beginning of the end of this Rush golden year dynasty, which would be really unfortunate to see as a fan. But, as other teams, we'll probably be pretty excited to see that team sort of start to disband a bit.
Well, we will see as time moves along. We don't know when the National Lacrosse League will return. However, it will be interesting to see if the Saskatchewan Rush can take that top spot in the West. Once again, Teddy, thanks a lot, my friend.
Tice, always a pleasure.